What if I told you that the government knows something about food security that you are not being told? Hello. In our crazy world, where food prices are rapidly rising and supply chains are collapsing, knowing what to stock up on can literally save your life. I spent months investigating what FEMA and other agencies quietly stockpile for emergencies, shocked to find the same items now on Walmart shelves, often unnoticed and hidden in plain sight. These 10 survival products can last for years, sometimes decades, and can be the deciding factor between feeding your family in a crisis or going hungry. And most surprisingly, most people simply walk past them with every purchase. Before I share these critically important products, make sure you subscribe, as I constantly find new survival tips not covered in mainstream media. Let's dive into these 10 survival products that Walmart may be hiding from you and which the government is quietly stockpiling as we speak. The first product is powdered milk with a long shelf life. Let's start with the fact that you might pass by every time you are in Walmart. Powdered milk. But do not look for it in the regular dairy section. Head to the 7th aisle by the bakery, or sometimes it is hidden in the coffee and tea section. The reason he is hidden is that most people do not realize his true value in emergencies. I hadn't noticed it for many years until my entrepreneur friend pointed it out during a joint purchase last summer. What most people do not understand is that one package of powdered milk can provide necessary nutrition for months. Recent studies from the Journal of Food Science show that properly stored powdered milk retains up to 80% of its vitamin D and calcium content even after 5 years on the shelf. This is vital nourishment when fresh milk is unavailable. Think about it. Milk is something we take for granted until we can't get it, especially if you have children. During the pandemic, I watched as people panicked when the dairy sections were empty, while my family simply restored our powdered milk. Last month, I spoke with a former FEMA contractor who confirmed something interesting. Government emergency response centers maintain huge stocks of powdered milk because it is a source of complete protein that children and the elderly can easily digest in a crisis situation. They know what most buyers are unaware of. In fact, during the hurricane season of 2023, FEMA distributed over 50,000 pounds of powdered milk to affected areas until supply chains could be restored. This is how important they consider this product. The contractor told me that they see it as a priority supply, meaning it is one of the first goods sent to the disaster zone. And what's interesting is that while regular milk spoils in a few days, these vacuum-packed ones can last up to 25 years if kept in a cool and dry place. I store my milk in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers in the basement. The main thing is to keep it away from moisture, which is the enemy of all powdered products. I learned about this from my own experience when I opened a container from the garage that had turned completely yellow and emitted a terrible smell. Believe me, spend a few extra minutes to store it properly. My neighbor Mark thought I was crazy for having a stock of powdered milk until his children suffered from a lack of cereal during the 3-day power outage last winter. Most people do not know that powdered milk comes in different varieties. Now, stores offer whole milk powder, not just skim milk, which we grew up with. The whole version contains more calories and fats, exactly what is needed in a survival situation where calories equal energy and survival. And for those who are concerned about lactose intolerance, there are even lactose-free options. However, you may need to ask the seller to help find them. My sister-in-law, who suffers from lactose intolerance, was surprised when I showed her that such options exist. But here is the professional advice that many overlook. Powdered milk is not just for drinking. It can be used in countless recipes when fresh ingredients are unavailable. Add it to homemade bread to increase protein content. Mix with stored water for making sauces. Use in emergency pancakes or cookies. This versatility is what drives government agencies to stockpile it by the ton. I even used it to make emergency yogurt by adding the right bacteria and maintaining warmth. This skill is worth knowing when fresh dairy products are unavailable. For less than $20, you buy real years of calcium, protein, and vitamins that your family may need in the future. Compare this to all the money we spend on things that don't matter in a crisis. Next time you're in the store, grab a few of these containers. And if you want to be even wiser, look for the Austin on Farms brand in the store. It is sold in much larger packages than regular boxes and is an even better deal. Your future self may thank you when the store shelves are empty and everyone else is frantically searching for essential goods. I still remember the expression on my brother's face when he desperately called me searching for milk during a fierce winter storm, and I simply got out my stash of powder and taught him how to prepare it. Now let's move on to the second point: canned meat. When we think of protein supplies, canned tuna usually comes to mind first. And don't get me wrong, tuna is great. It's low fat, lasts a long time, and everyone knows it. But here's the thing. If you are preparing for long-term disruptions or creating a serious stockpile of food, you need to diversify your selection. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to eat tuna every day for 2 months. This is where various types of canned meat come to the rescue, and some of them disappear from the store shelves faster than you might expect. Let's start with canned chicken meat. This product is a real find. This is a universal solution with a mild flavor that suits everything from quick soups to rice dishes. Brands like Keystone and Great Value offer decent options, usually packaged in water with minimal additives. Moreover, in an emergency situation, when cooking fuel is limited, canned chicken is already fully cooked. It can be heated and eaten right away or consumed straight from the can if the need arises. Now let's talk about canned beef. This product is truly underrated. It's not about beef stew, but about pure pieces of meat packed in broth or natural juices. Brands like Keystone and Lehman's are popular among those preparing for unforeseen situations, and not without reason. They provide the necessary calories and add healthy fats when energy is lacking. A 28-ounce can of natural ground meat from Lehman's is currently sold at Walmart. If you have ever tried to find a stable source of protein with such volume and clean ingredients, you know how difficult it is. Don't forget about canned pork. It is generally cheaper than beef and has a rich flavor. This hearty and dense product is perfect for stews, legumes, or simply reheating with quick cooking rice. Like beef, many types of canned pork are already fully cooked and ready to eat, making them ideal for situations without electricity. Lehman's offers pork that can be stored for a long time and contains no artificial preservatives, just what is needed for creating a long-term food supply. Now it gets interesting. These canned meat products are popular not only among those preparing for emergencies. There is an opinion that they are also favorites of government reserves in case of emergencies. Why? Because they meet all the requirements, high in protein, calorie dense, have a long shelf life, and do not require refrigeration. FEMA, military contractors, and state-level emergency response teams relied on these products in the past. In fact, some supply disruptions we observed last year may be linked to increased purchasing volumes by the government. And, of course, there is the issue of price. At the moment, this month, Walmart sells canned chicken for about $3 to $4 per can weighing 12.5 ounces, depending on the brand. Canned beef and pork cost more, from $6 to $9 per can, but you get a long shelf life and several servings. For serious preparations, buying in bulk may mean purchasing a box of 12 cans, which can turn out to be more economical than frozen products. So this is what you should come to. If you stock up only on tuna, you miss the opportunity and may leave your pantry vulnerable. These other canned meat options can add flavor, nutrients, and versatility to your emergency meals. However, supplies may not last forever. Considering the rising prices, production restrictions, and possible government purchases, it's best to stock up in advance before the next headline appears. Now, let's talk about the third point: frozen fruits. This hidden treasure that you have probably passed by many times without noticing. Frozen fruits. At Walmart, they are not displayed prominently. They are usually hidden on inconspicuous shelves or at the edges of racks, sometimes found among healthy snacks, hiking mixes, or even in the trends section, also known as aisle 82. Yes, the very one that no one talks about. It is not a coincidence. These products do not resemble ordinary snacks. They last a long time, are rich in nutrients, and are vital survival tools, and someone might not want you to buy them in bulk. The value of freeze-dried fruits lies not only in their taste, but also in the science. Unlike dehydrated fruits, which lose a significant portion of their nutrients during heat processing, freeze-dried fruits retain up to 97% of their original nutrients. This means that vitamin C, fiber, and antioxidants, everything your body needs in a crisis, remain intact. They are lightweight, easy to pack, and take up very little space, which is why they have become popular not only among tourists and mothers, but also among serious preparers. Yes, even among state stockpilers. Now let's talk about the shelf life. With proper storage, freeze-dried fruits can last from 10 to 25 years, longer than most canned goods. This is 2 decades of food that won't spoil, mold, or lose its properties. No need for refrigeration, no waste. Just open the package when you need it, during a power outage, economic crisis, or any other situation, and you will have an instant source of vitamins. Now for the most interesting part. These products are popular not only among ordinary preparers. Organizations like the Federal Emergency Management Agency have long included freeze-dried fruits in their long-term food supplies. They understand that in a crisis, people need more than just calories. They need nutrients, they need stability, and freeze-dried fruits provide both. So, if you've noticed that your local supermarket is lacking these products or they are unusually difficult to find, it's not your imagination. A growing demand is observed behind the scenes, whether it's government institutions, wholesale buyers, or just people aware of the fragility of supply chains. This superfood with a long shelf life disappears faster than many think. The next time you're in the store, don't walk past the snacks. Look up, check the strange containers in the middle of the aisle. Take a few bags and hide them. Because while everyone fights for toilet paper, you will possess a true treasure trove of nutrients, ready for any challenges. Now let's talk about grains in bulk. This is what the Federal Emergency Management Agency literally stockpiles by the ton, grains in bulk. But here's the thing. They don't just stockpile rice and wheat. According to a recent report on supply chains, government institutions are stockpiling vast reserves of alternative grains such as quinoa, amaranth, and millet. Why? Because these super grains contain more nutrients per ounce than traditional cereals. After assessing the climate of the year 2023, the Federal Emergency Management Agency expanded the variety of its grain supplies due to concerns about crop failures that could affect single species. In the supermarket, these survival supplies are not where you would expect them. Skip the usual rice aisle. Instead, head to the international cuisine section, where you can find 2.5 kilogram bags of quinoa for almost half the price compared to specialty stores. Or take a look in the organic section for amaranth, which often hides behind more common options. This is a small tip from my friend who used to work at a state warehouse. Store these grains in food storage buckets with oxygen absorbers, not in the original packaging. According to his experience, properly stored alternative grains can retain their properties for 15 to 20 years, instead of the usual 5. This is 2 decades worth of survival food sitting on store shelves, while most shoppers completely ignore it. The most interesting thing is that an investment of $50 can provide enough calories to feed a person for 2 months. It's serious peace of mind for a few cents per meal. Point number 5, honey. Let's talk about the liquid gold of nature, honey. Did you know that archaeologists found 30,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still perfectly edible? Yes, honey really never spoils if stored properly. That is why FEMA and the military's strategic food reserves always include honey. Its indefinite shelf life makes it invaluable in prolonged emergencies. According to the 2023 Strategic Reserves Report, honey is classified as a key resource with essential calories as it provides instant energy in the most critical moments. But honey is not only food, but also medicine in a jar. Recent studies from the University of Mississippi have shown that raw honey contains over 200 bioactive compounds that can fight infections. It is extremely important when medical assistance may be unavailable. It heals wounds, soothes coughs, and can even help with digestive issues in stressful situations. At Walmart, don't grab just any bear-shaped bottle. Look for raw, unfiltered honey, like the great value option usually found on the bottom shelf. For the best price-quality ratio, choose the 1-liter package that costs about $12. And here's another tip. Check the bakery section, not just the breakfast aisle, as there are sometimes different types of honey there. Store honey in a cool, dark place. Although, to be honest, this product will probably survive a nuclear winter. One could sweeten your life even in the toughest moments. Point number 6, dried beans and legumes. Let's talk about something that may seem boring, but can become a true salvation. Dried beans and legumes. You know those bags that sit in the grocery section of Walmart, which most people overlook? These humble beans have enormous survival potential. This is what the government does not advertise. FEMA and military warehouses stockpile thousands of tons of beans because they are essentially gold in protein content. 1 cup of cooked beans provides about 15 grams of protein, comparable to what you would get from expensive meat, but at a fraction of the cost. According to a recent study from the University of Michigan, properly stored beans can retain 80% of their nutritional value for up to 30 years. This is not a typo. 30 years. Government structures know about this, so they store the beans in airtight bags with oxygen absorbers. So, which varieties should be stocked up on? Recent studies show that pinto beans, black beans, and lentils are true sources of nutrition with a long shelf life. In Walmart stores, they are usually found on the lower shelves in the international products section, not where most people typically look. Last week I was there and found 5-pound bags of pinto beans for less than $7. That's about 50 servings of protein. Some Walmarts even offer 20-pound bags in their grain section, which most shoppers never visit. Here's my advice. Stock up on variety. Buy some lentils that cook quickly without soaking, and several types of beans for long storage. Divide them into airtight packages with oxygen absorbers, as government institutions do, and you will have a protein supply that surpasses almost everything in your cupboard. The 7th is canned vegetables. Imagine walking through the aisles of your local grocery store, aiming to stock up on supplies for an emergency. Amidst the bright variety of vegetables, you may instinctively reach for fresh ones. However, there are compelling reasons to consider some canned vegetables that often go unnoticed, but are invaluable for long-term preparedness. Although products like canned corn and green beans are common in many cupboards, other nutrient-rich options deserve attention. For example, canned pumpkin, beets, and artichokes. These products not only diversify your dishes, but also offer unique health benefits. For example, canned pumpkin is rich in vitamin A and fiber, supporting eye health and digestion. Beets contain nitrates that improve blood circulation, while artichokes are full of antioxidants. A common misconception is that canned vegetables are less nutritious than fresh ones. However, research shows the opposite. The preservation process effectively retains many essential nutrients. For example, studies show that the vitamin content in canned vegetables is comparable, and sometimes even higher, than that of fresh ones. This happens because canning usually occurs right after the harvest, which helps preserve nutrients that can deteriorate over time in fresh produce. Countries around the world recognize the importance of canned goods in emergency preparedness. The Strategic National Stockpile of the United States, for example, maintains reserves of essential goods to ensure food security in crisis situations. This emphasizes the reliability and stability of storing canned vegetables, making them a sensible choice for personal